She opened the door, stepping out. Outside the door she saw 4 torches lit around an open arena. A pathway was lit for her leading to it. A fence was placed along the path and arena so she couldn't go anywhere else. She gently put her lantern away as she walked towards the center of the arena. She could feel small tremors shaking through the world as she walked. As she reached one side of the arena, from the opposite side the Slender Pony emerged from the ground. He stood tall over her, his presence still bearing down. The truth, Pinkie whispered to herself as she stared at the Slender Pony, her phonograph letting off a slight buzz. I see. It's the truth behind everything, isn't it? Something I've been hiding from. Something that you show me. She tried to rationalize everything. The Slender Pony began to walk slowly towards her, the haze of his presence beginning to attack her mind. She closed her eyes as she tried to think. The steps of the Slender Pony echoed through the room as the haze grew deeper in her head. An image of Bellamina appeared in her mind through the haze. The image was strong. It was loud. It spoke to her. Her eyes shot open. The realization dawned upon her as the Slender Pony stood a few feet away from her. The phonograph was ringing like it never rang before. I must fight through, Pinkie gulped as her mind fogged over. I've managed through monsters, this town's horrors, even myself. I will beat you too. Pinkie fought through the blaring haze, lifting her front hoof and pressing it against the Slender Pony's body. A wave of pain rocked her body as she cried out, the haze enveloping her mind. She felt a torrential sea of different experiences crashing through her body as she became overwhelmed by the Slender Pony. The images of Bellamina swirled in her head. She could see some of the memories that she had lost. She saw herself as Bellamina. She saw the pain of another young filly being tortured by the cult that was the Slender Pony. She felt the influx of horrible emotions invade her body. Emotions she didn't want to be real. No, they couldn't be real. These things hadn't happened to someone she cared so much about. She couldn't accept these horrors as they were presented to her. Her sister was too precious. The images told her that Bellamina was dead, but she couldn't accept the truth. The world escaped her as she felt herself falling again. Everything swirled, her head spinning. Pain filled her senses before she finally lost her bearings. Twilight pulled her head back from Pinkie Pie's forehead. She rubbed her head as she looked at her pink friend. She wasn't sure exactly what had just happened, but she knew it hadn't been longer than a few minutes. Pinkie was still sitting there with her eyes closed. Pinkie? Are you all right? She asked her friend. He was quiet for a moment before Pinkie slowly opened her eyes, looking at Twilight. You okay? Twilight asked, getting a little closer to Pinkie. Pinkie simply blinked in response. Did the mind delve work? She asked, looking into Pinkie's eyes for a response. Twilight, Pinkie said, almost as if she was surprised to see her. Yeah, it's me, Pinkie Pie. Are you feeling better now? Twilight asked, trying to gauge where her friend was. Pinkie didn't really answer. She looked down at her hooves, then back up to Twilight, and began to slowly scan the contents of the library. So, this is really true, isn't it? Pinkie muttered softly before lowering her head, her hair covering most of her face as she closed her eyes. Pinkie? It's all right. I'm here, and you can talk to me, Twilight said, trying to reassure her friend. Thank you, Twilight, Pinkie said solemnly. You have helped me. You've made me realize the truth about myself, she muttered quietly. The truth about yourself? What is it? Twilight asked curiously. Pinkie shifted her head away from Twilight, opening her eyes, but not looking at her. I'm not Pinkie Pie, she said quietly. And I never was. Huh? Twilight asked, confused. But of course you're Pinkie Pie. You're the friend we've come to know and love here. Ponyville's #1 party pony, Twilight explained. Yes, That's what you've come to know me as, because that's the identity I adopted. Pinkie softly sighed as she raised her head to look at Twilight. Twilight, the dreams I was having, they stemmed from a trauma I survived as a child. Your mind delve helped me realize that, and now that I've dealt with that trauma thanks to your spell, I've come to realize I'm not Pinkie Pie. She took a deep breath. My name is Bellamina Marie Pie, she spoke clearly. My sister, Pinkamena Diane Pie, died when we were kids. I wasn't able to accept that my sister, who put a smile on all our faces, who was the cheerful party lover, died in such a tragic way all those years ago. So, in my mind, I had myself die in her place, and I took over as Pinkamena. She closed her eyes as she turned her body to face Twilight. This cutie mark is real, but it was summoned up because my mind made it my special talent, so that I could be my sister. Bellamina sighed. I've been dyeing my fur and hair for as long as I can remember, just to hide this fact. Pinkie, Twilight said in shock. This seemed like a lot to take in, like it shouldn't be real. It's Bellamina, Twilight, she said, almost hurt that she had to correct this person she had come to know as a friend. I can't keep living this lie anymore. Doing so is tearing me apart inside, so I need to come clean with who I am. Bellamina stood up and walked towards one of the bookcases. Don't get me wrong, though. I've become a lot like my sister now, so who I am will still be a lot like her, Bellamina said, trying to dispel any worry in a friend. I guess I won't be as hectic as I was when I was Pinkie. She turned to Twilight, a weak smile appearing on her face. And I'll need help telling the others, if that's all right. Twilight stared, a little dumbfounded. She seriously had to take in all of this news. It was almost too much to bear. This is real, isn't it? Twilight said, almost unable to believe. Bellamina nodded her head slowly. Then, I guess I have no choice, do I? Twilight said, taking a deep breath before standing up and smiling. This is the real you, right? And you, even if you might not be Pinkie Pie, are still my dear friend. If you need help, then I will help you. Thank you, Twilight. Bellamina smiled as a tear formed at the edge of her eye. The end. Ending. It's a twist. Unlock condition. Don't see all of the memories before facing Slender Mane for the last time.